Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Tutor Deogratius Mkoba. In this video we are going to talk about algebra, as you can see there. So we have to start, before we go further into algebra, we have to start with the basic concept. We are going to focus on the basic concepts, key terms in algebra. First things first, let's see what do we study here in algebra. So when we were in lower levels in kindergarten, we used to be given or asked questions. For instance, we were given some boxes here. Maybe we were given, for instance, we are told find the unknown number in the box here. We are given a box like this plus maybe a number 9 equals 14. Then you're told to tell which number is in the box there. So we used to perform certain operations to determine the unknown number in the box. So algebra is very interesting because instead of using these boxes, then we use letters. So algebra mainly deals with unknowns. We try to find unknowns using letters, so we replace these boxes with unknowns. So algebra, instead of writing a box plus 9 equals to 14, we use any unknown, any letter. For instance, x plus 9 equals 14. So this is the fun thing about algebra. We just deal with unknowns, and it's a very important aspect or very important branch of mathematics, which is applied in every other field. It's applied in engineering, in science, and everything. So stay focused, we are going to hit it. So before we go deep, let's see some key terms in algebra, some key terminologies. So we have some key terms here, some key terms. Okay, so our first term here is variables. So when you study algebra, you meet with these variables. So variables are unknowns in algebra. They are knowns, and as we saw in our example here, a box plus 9 equals to 14. This represents a known. We don't know what is in here. We don't know what is in this treasure box. So we replace it with a letter. So this letter is what we call a variable. So a variable, these are unknowns, and they are normally shown by letters. For instance, x, y, z, and you can use any letter, a, b, c, depends on your letter of choice. So the second term is coefficient. So coefficient, this is a number that is multiplied to a variable. So for instance, we might have an equation or an expression. For instance, maybe 4x. So you see, the number that is attached to this variable, x is the variable, it's the unknown, this letter is the variable. So this number that is attached to this variable is what we call a coefficient. So in this simple expression, I can say the coefficient of x is 4. 4 is the coefficient of x. X is the variable. The third term, which we normally see, is constant. So a constant, this is the unchanging number in an algebraic expression or equation. So I think you've probably guessed that constant is the opposite of a variable. So if variables that are the unknowns or the letters x, y, z, then constant are everything that apart from these variables. So even in this example 4x, then 4 is the constant, because 4 is 4, it doesn't change, it's constant. So it's a constant, but it's also a coefficient of x. Well, for instance, we can have maybe 4x plus 2. So here the constants are 4 and 2 because they are constant. They do not change. They are already numbers. They are whole numbers. So here these ones are constant. This one is a constant, but it is also coefficient. It's a coefficient of x. This x here is the variable. This is the variable. this is just a constant, this is just a constant. Simple. See, so that's, we have those are the main terms. Also we have to understand, we're going to check on the differences between expressions and equations. As we have seen here, I defined constants saying unchanging number in algebraic expression or equation. Are they the same or are they different? What the difference? So let's see what the difference between equation and equation versus expression. So the main difference is that expressions do not have equal sign, whereas equations have the equal sign. Simple. So I can say expression is a mix of numbers. Let's write it down. So you see, so an expression, this is a mix of constants, variables, and operators, but there is no equal sign. So it's just like a statement of relationship between these things. So for instance, an expression could be for example, maybe let me use the very same example, 4x plus 2. So that's an expression. 4x plus 2 is just an expression, but an equation has an equal sign. So okay, so that's just a summary of writing it, but it's like equation. The difference between equations is that equations we equate two things. We make equations, we make things equal, two expressions equal. So for instance, we can say maybe the formula, you can say this expression 4x maybe plus 2 equals to this expression 3, or 4y minus x equals to 2y plus 3. That one is also an equation. So those are equations. The moment you see an equal sign separating two expressions, then you have to know that that is an equation. Thank you very much. Stick around. In the next video we are going to start discussing about expressions. Make sure you subscribe to my channel